Welcome to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video, and I think this is a really interesting topic in the NFL. I saw this article come out late last night by NJ.com. It was later reported by Giants Wire, and it basically went on to say that the reason that the New York Giants are struggling is because of they're not using the world of analytics. Now, I'm not the most analytically driven person, but I am one of those people that says that you should use every tool in the bag. And I think in baseball, analytics have become a little bit overblown. I think they're definitely very important. I think they need to be used. And I think it's the same thing in football. I think anytime you can use a tool to better your football team or baseball team or whatever it is, you should use it. It should just never be the whole tool bag. I think sometimes teams go overboard with it. But it seems as if by, most people's standards, they feel like the New York Giants are not doing it enough. And even Dave Gettleman admitted that they need to use more analytics, basically in his press conference. And maybe he is too old school. Maybe the Giants are too old school. Now, I definitely agree with their philosophy. I still believe that this game is and always will be one in the trenches. I think you need a sound offensive line, and I think you need to be able to stop the run. You also need to be able to get after the quarterback. Now, what they were criticized for doing, and I think it is fair criticisms, or at least some of them are fair, is the fact that they did not pay enough attention to adding edge rushers. Since Dave Gettleman has been here, he's added Lorenzo Carter and O'Shane Ximines. He's added 2 edge rushers, but nobody early in the draft, right? Lorenzo Carter was a 3rd-round pick. O'Shane Ximines was an end of the 3rd-round pick. And their earlier picks have been on interior linemen like a Dexter Lawrence, trading for Leonard Williams, and the ground game in Saquon Barkley. Now, I like Saquon Barkley. I still think Saquon Barkley is a great weapon. I think he will help this offense out, obviously, once they get to where they need to go. And Mike Tannenbaum, who's the former general manager of the New York Jets, tends to agree with me. Once they get that offensive line to where it needs to be, this team should get on the right track because at the end of the day, I always say it, the best friend to a defense is a sound offensive line because you can control the clock and keep that defense fresh. And I'm going to get into all the quotes, both the people basically saying that the Giants aren't far away, they need to improve that O-line, and the people that say they need to adopt analytics and that Dave Gettleman has it all wrong. And I guess it's up to you to decide what you believe in. I think, maybe he does need to adopt more analytics. But at the end of the day, I do agree with Dave's philosophy, and I think the Giants are headed on the right track. I think it's very easy to pick on a team when they're down. I think a lot of people don't take into account the state of this franchise when Dave Gettleman took over. They had a lot of older players on bad contracts that they wanted to get rid of. They've started from scratch. And we got to give him a couple more, at least this year, in my opinion. You got to see how it plays out. You got to give him some cap space and, see how the rookies continue to progress with this new coaching staff. Now, if the team does not progress this year, that's when you get to get on Dave Gettleman. But I just wanted to jump in this article and talk about it because I think it's an interesting story and something that we should educate ourselves on. First thing, this is what Mike Tannenbaum had to say about the New York Giants. I don't see any reason why they can't turn this thing around pretty quick, Tannenbaum told NJ Advanced Media. It comes back to the offensive line. You need to be able to control the game. And if you could run the ball and pass protect, that will hide other deficiencies, like front 7 pressure players or corner play, because you're playing keep away. And that's basically, and the Jets had a good defense, but that's basically what they did under Mike Tannenbaum those early years when they went to the AFC title games. They drafted early with the O-line, with Ferguson, with Mangold, and they had a really strong ground attack. I think Sean Green, if I'm not mistaken, actually no, it was Thomas Jones, led the league in rushing. And I don't disagree with that. I still think running is very important. You take a look, I did a video on this. You take a look at the top 10 teams in rushing, no less than 7 of them made the playoffs over the last 4 years. Next quote we're going to bring up is, you're limiting the number of drives your opponent has, Tannenbaum said. That's why I feel like when you get the offensive line right, it really becomes a true force multiplier. It allows you to control the game, knowing that you're going to have substandard players at some positions. Not everyone is going to have the perfect player at each position. If they get the offensive line fixed, that will buy them time at other positions. And that's exactly what the Dallas Cowboys did in 2016. If you remember correctly, going into that year, Dallas Cowboys were not thought to have a great defense, but the defense played very well because they had the best offensive line in the sport. Now, the Giants are not. That's the one thing. I may agree with what Dave Gettleman believes in, but he has not fully carried it out yet. The O-line has not gotten to the point where it needs to be, and he needs to get it much better. But I do think if the O-line is above average or top 10 in the league, the Giants could have a much better football team because I do think, like Tannenbaum said, it does hide your deficiencies as you continue to upgrade it through the draft. And here is the quote in terms of the detractors, of what Dave Gettleman is doing, basically, in their opinion, ignoring analytics. Then I'm going to get into some of the quotes from both the 49ers and Chiefs staffs. They were also asked questions in this interview because they are two teams that use analytics a lot. I don't think you can win doing it their way, founder of Football Outsiders Aaron Schwartz told NJ Advanced Media. There definitely is a feeling that is very old school concentration on the running game, when the passing game and passing defense just rule the roost in the modern NFL. And that's where I disagree, where, yes, teams do pass more. I still am of the firm belief that running the football sets up the pass. Yes, does it help to be able to throw the football? Yes, but you need to be able to run the football to set up the pass. I think balance. That's always my take. I don't believe in being a team that passes the ball a lot, and I don't believe in being a team that runs the ball a lot. I want a near even balance to keep my offense unpredictable and to be able to wear down opponents over the course of the game and control the clock. And you're not always going to find a quarterback like a Pat Mahomes, like I always say. There's 2 or 3 of those guys in the league. Next quote. When you look at the draft decisions that they've made, they're just such a concentration on the running game, and not just with Saquon. They took defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence in the first round, taking a primary run-stopping defensive tackle rather than more of a pass defender. And I think that, as much as I like Dexter Lawrence, if I'm being fair, I think that's a fair criticism. You already had guys up in the middle, and I was a little surprised when they made the selection. Now, I'm happy with the way Dexter Lawrence has played, but you already had Dalvin Tomlinson on the team. You already had B.J. Hill on the team. And then, on top of that, which he's going to mention, you go out and you trade for Leonard Williams, and you don't really focus on the edge rusher position as much as you probably should have, and I actually agree with that. I was in favor of drafting Montez Sweat last year at that 17 spot. I can't complain with Dexter Lawrence, but it's why I've even talked about potentially looking to trade some of these D tackles that are on the roster, because there's kind of a logjam there to try to get a guy that could get after the quarterback. Next thing I wanted to bring up, it's been a very bizarre management process to kind of follow. Vice President of Football and Research at Sports Information Solutions, Matt Manchurian, said, I don't really know that process in New York. If you're just going to pay lip service and not incorporate analytics into a new process, you're just spinning your wheels. And they, like I said, they're going to continue to bash Dave Gettleman with these quotes and pick on him for not using analytics, even though Gettleman has said he started to use them. Well, we're going to have to wait and see, if they use them more this offseason like he's hinted at. You have to weigh everything accordingly, Chiefs General Manager Brad Veach said Monday. If you get in the mindset where you don't value analytics enough, it can really cost you. I don't think you want to shortchange analytics or the film room. You have to find a happy medium. And that I agree with. I am always of the mindset to be balanced. You want to use every tool in the tool bag. And some of that is an old school approach. Some of that is a new school approach. I don't think you can be too much of one or too much of the other. But, in terms of the people that say that running's not important, I disagree with that. If Gettleman said his philosophy was still primarily to build a team to run the ball and stop the run, I wouldn't want to take that job, Schratz said, because of the roster wouldn't be built to run the team that I really wanted to or needed to run it in order to win. And that's basically just his mindset. Everybody has their own mindset. Obviously, Joe Judge believes in the things that Dave Gettleman believes in. He's been very outspoken that he believes in smash mouth football, winning in the trenches, which is what Dave Gettleman's all about. And then finally, this is what the 49ers had to say. And I thought this was actually really interesting in how they use analytics to set up the ground game, because the 49ers actually do have the mindset of running the football and wearing down your opponent. Look at what Jimmy Garoppolo did last week. He threw the football 8 times against the Green Bay Packers. From day one, we made a commitment to integrate analytics, 49ers General Manager John Lynch said. Every day, we try to find new ways to integrate analytics. Our coaches and the entire building has bought in. Nobody is fighting it anymore. The 49ers run the ball more than any team except the Baltimore Ravens, but the Niners merged old school game planning with new school game philosophy by running the ball out of multiple formations and by using pre-snap motion more than any team in the league. The motion displaces defenses and forces them to play the run in unfavorable alignments. So that I thought was really interesting, and maybe that is something that Dave Gettleman and the New York Giants need to adopt more, because I do watch a lot of these teams that have a lot of pre-snap, they get a better read on the defense by having a lot of pre-snap motion, things like that. And obviously the 49ers do that more than anybody, according to that quote. And maybe it's, because of the use of analytics, why their run game has been as successful as it is, or at least partially. They don't have the most supremely gifted offensive line. As a matter of fact, I remember doing a video on the 49ers, And they, I think, had the worst run blocking offensive line the year before Kyle Shanahan got there. Since then, it's improved dramatically. And maybe analytics have a lot to do with that. And the Giants need to focus more on that. But in terms of the basic mindset, I disagree with people who say that the running game is not important. I still think it is. I think it sets up the pass. And I think that you need to win in the trenches. Now, I think it is a fair criticism to say that Gettleman should have focused more on edge rushers in last year's draft. I think you could certainly argue that at pick number 17. But, I can't really complain with Dexter Lawrence. Hopefully we get it sorted out. Hopefully we either add an edge rusher in free agency who works out, Lorenzo Carter improves, or we draft one early in the first round this year or second round. I think that's obviously an area of need for the New York Giants. They have to get after the quarterback, and we'll see if they could do it. Like I said, I think the guy that was bashing Gettleman, in my opinion, seemed as if he was too far to the analytics point of view. But Gettleman, I think, doesn't incorporate analytics enough. I think that is a fair criticism. I think, like with anything in life, I think you need to be balanced. And the Giants have to get more balanced. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.